Another volley in the tense political game between the United States and China. The Secretary of State now postponing a trip to Beijing after a suspected Chinese spy balloon was spotted over the U.S. Joining me now is Chuck Todd, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press. And Chuck, you'll have bipartisan reaction to this development on Sunday. But what's the sense there in Washington about this latest development with China?
I would say it's a real concern. I mean, this is one of those moments where you could almost feel a collective tensing up, if you will. I mean, we're already a bit on knife's edge in this, in the elected leadership on all things China. I mean, if you think about it, it's elected officials that are the most concerned about China's influence on TikTok. So Washington really has already been on sort of a extra high alert when it comes to Chinese espionage. And all of a sudden in this balloon comes. And it's coming at a moment when there's already a lot of distrust that's growing between the two countries. And I'll tell you this, it's one of the few issues that unites the two parties. There's not a ton of disagreement. There may be disagreement on tactics, on how you get tough on China. But there's no disagreement that it's now time for the United States to get tougher on China. So I think the real question is, what else are we going to do here? Are we going to find a way to get our hands on this balloon and figure out what was it? What were they tracking? What were they trying to do? This is an incident that I think is more ongoing than over with, that's for sure. Yeah. Back here at home, though, we expect former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley to be the next Republican to enter the presidential fray for 2024. How is this playing in GOP circles, especially for those Republicans who are looking for an alternative to former President Donald Trump? Look, I think she already won the first primary. I think there's a little bit of positive currency for anybody to be the first candidate in not named Trump. And now she's the first candidate in not named Trump. And she comes from the sort of a different wing of the party, but has enough Trump ties to not seem antagonistic to that wing of the party. I will tell you this, I don't underestimate her, and I think anybody that underestimates her does so at their own peril. I could see her, the ideal scenario, and you talk to Republican strategists, is somebody that can appeal to the never Trumpers and to the always Trumpers. And I think that Nikki Haley on paper has that opportunity. Let's see if she can execute it. But I think she is a very formidable campaigner. She won 2 terms. The first time she defeated a sitting governor in order to become governor. This is somebody that led the party in getting rid of the Confederate flag in the Deep South, down in South Carolina. That, when you think about it, and she still seems to be in at least okay shape politically with some of the Trump world. So I think she's among, when people ask me Trump, DeSantis, or the field, who's going to be the Republican nominee, I always choose the field. And when I think of the field, I think of her as one of the strongest alternatives. She's certainly someone to watch. Now, on the other side of things, earlier this week, a large group of Democrats from the South sent a letter to President Biden urging him to select Atlanta to host the 2024 Democratic National Convention. The president has an affinity for certain southern states, so does Atlanta make sense for Democrats in this contest with New York and Chicago? Yeah, to me, it's not even a close call. I can't believe New York and Chicago are in play. I just can't. I understand there's a lot of Democrats that are from New York and Chicago. There's a lot of donors that are from New York and Chicago. But the path to the White House and the path to the presidency and the path to the Senate majority for Democrats goes through Atlanta. So I would, look, I'm not saying Atlanta. I think Atlanta's got a good shot. I think Chicago's right now probably the front runner. They seem to be a bit out front here. And the geographic advantage of Chicago is shouldn't be lost on folks. That does matter. There is some folks think it's on the East Coast too often, these conventions. So I do think that is usually a check in favor of Chicago. But politically, to me, it's not even a close call. Georgia is everything these days to the Democratic Party. We will certainly be following down here. Meet the Press airs Sunday morning at 10 on 11 Alive. Chuck, thank you so much.